Massive breaking news is unfolding within the Denver Broncos headquarters at this very moment. This is a decision that could silently dictate your franchise's trajectory for the next 4 years. You are looking at 3 athletes, 3 unique scenarios, and a front office racing to decide who gets paid before the market erupts. The reality is this: if you get this call wrong, you risk overpaying, bleeding talent, or piling unnecessary stress on your next offseason. However, if you nail it, you look like a strategic mastermind locking down cornerstones before the league resets the price tag. But before diving into the specifics, you have one crucial task to handle. Have you smashed that like button yet? Because if you are a die-hard fanatic and believe this squad is building a legacy, prove it. Hit the like button immediately, and I want to see this in the comments. Go Broncos. In 2026, you return stronger. Now, let's dissect this, because these 3 contracts reveal exactly how this organization views its destiny. According to the deep dive analysis currently circling the team, the Broncos are staring down pivotal extension choices, mirroring the aggressive strategy you saw them execute before last season. Your front office has established a clear pattern: spot rising talent early, pay them before they peak, and guard your long-term flexibility. Start with Riley Moss. He is easily one of the most debated figures among the fan base right now. You see the raw physicality, the elite speed, the grit, and the solid run support. Then you see the penalties and the occasional deep ball error. Honestly, you are right on both counts. Moss possesses legitimate starting caliber traits while playing opposite your team's premier cornerback. He packed on muscle, refined his tackling, and showed serious maturity late in the year by cleaning up those costly flags. The timing is fascinating. Moss is entering a contract year. The chatter suggests he is a prime candidate for an in-season extension, a tactic you have seen before. Management likely wants to watch the first half of the season before handing out a long-term commitment. That means proving those technical flaws are history and showing he can consistently make plays on the ball. The deciding factor here is your projection. If you believe Moss is your long-term starter, signing him now avoids the free agency bidding war and saves you cap space. If you hesitate, his price tag climbs, or worse, you risk losing control of the entire situation. Now, let's discuss Marvin Mims Jr. And this might be the most captivating puzzle of the entire group. There is a compelling argument that you must extend him before his value goes nuclear. Mims has proven he is electric. Every single time the ball hits his hands, you feel that potential for something massive. He delivers clutch plays in high-pressure moments and brings elite return skills, which drastically amplifies his worth. The financial projections being discussed reveal 2 drastically different paths for his valuation. One model suggests $6.5 million annually, but compare him to elite vertical threats and return specialists, and that figure could skyrocket depending on the market. So here is the ultimate question: are you truly maximizing his talent? The analysis suggests that when you feed Mims, he produces explosive, game-changing results. That is not a guess. That is a fact based on the performance trends highlighted in the report. If you expand his role and he erupts statistically, waiting to pay him will cost you millions more annually. Finally, Brandon Jones. This feels like the most obvious move on the board. Jones is a critical asset in your secondary, fitting perfectly into the defensive scheme. He hit performance escalators in his current agreement and has earned a fresh deal. Safety contracts rarely break the bank, making this extension incredibly logical for you. When he is healthy, Jones brings consistency, physical toughness, and excellent chemistry to the defensive backfield. The money works, the role fits, and the cap impact is manageable compared to the chaos of losing stability at safety. And this is where the entire situation becomes a masterclass in strategy for the Denver Broncos. You are not just talking talent. You are talking timing, leverage, and roster construction. Circle back to Riley Moss for a second. If you wait too long and he strings together a flawless first half with fewer penalties and a few picks, his leverage doubles. That is the danger of the in-season evaluation strategy mentioned earlier. If he proves he can handle the heat opposite your top corner, you are suddenly negotiating from a position of weakness. But if you extend him early and he regresses, that is the gamble you take. You will find the situation becomes even more intriguing when you consider how the front office evaluates the depth of your secondary. You have to understand that this file emphasizes the critical need to properly assess the quarterback room before you lock in any long-term deals. You aren't just handing out an extension in a vacuum. You are forecasting the state of the entire unit for 2026 and beyond. You need to shift your focus to Marvin Mims Jr. immediately, because his contract situation decides if your team is aggressive or just reactive. You can see the analysis proves that whenever Mims touches the ball, explosive plays happen. And that is hard data, not just wishful thinking. You are looking at clutch receptions, deep threat speed, and elite return skills all wrapped into one rare package. You face a serious danger by waiting because if you increase his workload and he breaks out, his market value skyrockets instantly. You already see two potential price tags emerging, one affordable and one expensive, depending entirely on which players you compare him to. You won't be negotiating a mid-level deal anymore if he starts putting up the numbers of a top-tier deep threat. You need to consider another crucial angle here. You realize this discussion flips the script, suggesting this isn't just a make-or-break year for Mims, but a defining test of how you use him. If you fail to maximize his talent and leave him underused, you are facing a philosophical crisis about your offense, not just a money issue. You should turn your attention back to Brandon Jones now, as he feels like the grounding force in this entire debate. You can see clearly that Jones proved his worth within the defensive scheme and earned every penny of his performance escalators. You aren't looking at empty hype. You are looking at undeniable contractual proof of his impact on the field. You know the coaches trusted him implicitly because he played enough to hit the 70% snap threshold and trigger those bonuses. You also know that when you factor in that the safety market rarely destroys your cap space, the deal starts to look very logical. You could argue that extending Jones right now is the cleanest, safest move available on the board. You need to look at the bigger picture. This team has a history of striking early to beat market inflation. You enjoy the roster flexibility you have today precisely because that aggressive philosophy is part of the team's DNA. If you apply that same strategy to Moss, Mims, and Jones, you can lock in your core players before the market resets the price at their positions. You feel the tension building because this is the reality. This goes beyond contracts. It is about defining who you are. You are deciding whether the foundation of this team is built on defensive grit, offensive firepower, or long-term potential. You send a specific message with every single extension you sign. You define exactly who will lead the next era of Denver football with every dollar you choose to commit. If you prioritize Riley Moss, you are betting on stability in the secondary. But if Marvin Mims Jr. is the first domino to fall, you are signaling a massive commitment to unlocking explosive playmaking and investing heavily in a dynamic offense. If you secure Brandon Jones early, you are telling the world that defensive stability and locker room leadership matter more than anything. You understand why timing is everything. Move too early and you accept risk. Wait too long and you lose all your leverage. You know that finding that delicate balance is exactly what separates the average front offices from the elite ones. You can see this organization prefers to lead the market rather than chase it. So let's close this out the right way. You are talking about identity. And if you extend Riley Moss first, you are sending a crystal clear message to the league. You are saying you believe in your defensive structure, value continuity, and are willing to invest in your own development. You see Moss as a symbol of growth and the embodiment of future projection. You are betting on a player who has shown brilliance, trusting that refinement will turn those flashes into everyday consistency. You would be stating that the organization values corner stability and wants to lock up the secondary before the cost becomes a problem. If you prioritize Marvin Mims Jr., you signal something radically different. You are stating, "We are all in on explosiveness." You are leaning into speed and offensive evolution, proving that Mims is far more than just a special teams ace. You are looking at a game wrecker who is just waiting for the chance to be fully unleashed. You would be making a serious power move if you truly believe his role will expand and you extend him before the breakout happens. You save millions down the road and build lasting chemistry by making that kind of forward-thinking decision. But if you choose Brandon Jones first, you make a statement about the defensive backbone, declaring that reliability and scheme fit are paramount. You have already seen that Jones can execute perfectly within the system. You aren't guessing here. You are rewarding consistency and protecting the heart of your defense with a player you trust. You realize what makes this so fascinating is what these three players actually represent.